It's fucking hot in here.
Welcome, everybody, to UFO Man Live. My name is Tim, or UFO Man. Tonight, we're going to have a different type of live show. We don't have a specific guest, but we do have a couple of guests on our panel. One is Rob Ball from Massachusetts. Welcome, Rob.
Hello.
One is Nicole Weber, all the way from Iowa. Welcome, Nicole.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here.
She's also famous for Space Out Radio's show After Hours. So if you don't see her on here, you can see her on there. Also, we have a familiar face with us tonight. Nos is back again. Welcome, Nos.
Thank you.
We're going to be talking about what the thumbnail indicated, which was the alien agendas on Earth. What our ideas, those agendas are. What the alien races are, the main four. I think there's like 4 alien races that are interacting right now on planet Earth. And we kind of want to discuss what their intent is and the possibility of them interacting and waiting for us to destroy ourselves, pretty much. And seeing if we can rise above that, in a sense, to a higher sense of reality through consciousness, awareness, and things like that. And that's when we'll address Nos, who seems to have her thumb on the information concerning that. Also, we'd like to start out first with a question for one of my new guests, Nicole. Nicole, could you explain to all of us who you are and what your research is into, plus perhaps divulge your first alien abduction encounter?
Sure. My name is Nicole Weber. I'm from Iowa. I was a mental health therapist for 7 years, and I gave that up. when I encountered my first UFO, that wasn't my first alien experience, but it was
Stop.
measured to be 50 foot in diameter, and I was 30 feet away from it. So there's like some missing things and some weird things that happened. But then about 6 months later, I started seeing them come back. And like I said, from MUFON did like they did all the stuff, MUFON Dave. So they identified it like, and literally I would like to stand that close. But then things started to get weirder. So that's when I encountered, I was on, see, back when that happened, like the LED lights weren't what they are today. So it was like LED lights like around it. And then I thought that there's like, okay, so I could 5 of them around, and I was on a table. And I remember thinking, why am I, strapped down to a table? And they said because of contamination. Okay, so that's always stuck with me, because of contamination. They had their fingers, they had like these suction cups on their fingers. But in my first experience, I could see myself also. So it was like I was looking down and looking at myself and what was going on. And there are like 5 of them. And then I just remember saying, like, what's like going on? Why am I here? And then they said for communication. But I was always just freaked out. But their skin is reflective. I don't think that they're gray. If you remember those like old like UV lights, or like you kind of paint on something, and it was like that. So I don't know exactly what they were, but I did. The second one were the tall grays, and they let me roam around freely, but I still didn't understand. But I tried to become more conscious of it. When this happens, make sure to ask this. When this happens, make sure to ask this. So I researched this whole thing. Like, I built an actual wall of like everything and who's with who and like who, and I started digging deep into all of this and connecting dots. So yeah, that's kind of who I am in a nutshell.
That's cool. Rob,
Yes.
tell us who you are for everyone who doesn't know, and where your research lies.
Well, I started out with making a couple of videos or whatever, UFO videos with my drone, doing local videos for the Sheffield Covered Bridge and the Tom Reed UFO Park. And I really wasn't anybody, to be honest with you, other than a person doing a couple of videos, until I made the right video that caught the right eye of the right person. And that person was actually Tom Reed, because the video I did of the UFO Park, which is all over TikTok. And then Tom introduced me to Rhiannon introduced me to this one, that one. It just kept going forwards like a nonstop, like adventure ride. And I love every minute of it. And that's where Tom and Rhiannon introduced me to Tim. And that's where we are right now. I did a few documentaries with Tom and Rhiannon and Anthony Essenplair of United S4. He's got something coming up. I'm going to be doing it with him. And that's where I am. That's my background. And if it wasn't for Tom and Rhiannon, I probably wouldn't be here right now.
Okay. We had a couple live streams with you, Rob. They were quite interesting, and that's why we were interested in bringing you back.
Thank you.
In regards to your UFO research, what is your drive behind your wanting to know?
Well, I had an experience when I was I forget how old I was. I was born in 1976. And I don't know when the exact date was. I don't know how old I was, but it was the return of Halley's Comet. And we saw on the news, look at the sky at this point in time, and look over the mountain, you'll see something. And I saw something, and every member of my family saw something too. And we thought it was Halley's Comet until, a couple of years go by, and we talked to this one, we talked to that one. And people said that, no, you didn't see Halley's Comet. What you saw was a classic UFO. It had a bright amber red flashing head on it. almost shaped like an egg. And then it had an amber tail, probably, I'd say, going across like maybe 75% of the sky. I'd say like maybe 3 miles long. And ever since then, I've been, wanting to know more, reading books, seeing TV. Independence Day was a really big thing for me. I loved it. It's kind of like, it kind of makes you wonder what would happen if somebody did come down and say, hey, we're here, and they saw us as an ant on the ground. And, as kids, what do you do with ants on the ground? You burn them out, you stomp them out. So that's where I got my start. And I just been digging a little bit deeper ever since. And lately, since I ran into Tom and Rhiannon, I've been digging a lot deeper.
Yes. Nos, what can you add to this for people who do not know who you are?
For people that do not know me, there's nothing I could say in the time given that would allow them to fully understand.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll keep to the simpler part of it.
Okay.
2 years and 12 days ago, I left the United States to go to Ireland as a refugee in order to prepare the information that's necessary for exposing and dismantling the shadow government, thus getting rid of the restriction on disclosure with relation to extraterrestrial activity on Earth. Yep. The deep state. The people that control the governments. And I finished preparing my information. I made a few dead man switches that guaranteed I couldn't be killed if I came back to the United States. Made my way back here, and now I'm in Texas.
Yes, and your research and dedication to the subject matter, what would that entail in a short, brief statement?
My research and focus on the subject matter of ufology is actually about the perceptions that humanity has on ufology. It's about monitoring the progress of consciousness and the extending of conceptual limitations by humanity that determines how they need to be approached on the matter of disclosure. Because it establishes how much you can release and in what order to have society still remain intact and not shatter from all the broken psyches.
Right. So people really aren't concentrating on the full scope of the phenomenon because all you hear in the news is about the nuts and bolts craft that is being seen in the sky. They're not really addressing like interdimensional or
They don't
multiverse.
address that someone had to create those craft.
Right. They do come out and say someone created them, but they're not coming out and saying what or who. And I think when they changed the terminology from UFO to UAP, and we'll get to you, Nicole. I know you're aching to answer this. When they publicly went from UFO to UAP, I think UAP just gave them a broader brushstroke so that the classifications of different objects could fall under a wider spectrum of options rather than just ET craft. You know what I'm saying? So they didn't have to pin it down. They could put it in the other bin, like what they said in the first UAP hearing. Nicole, I know you're aching to add to this. What does IEC and IAC stand for?
Okay, so IEC is, let me think of, oh my gosh, I'd have to almost, now I'm just like, oh my gosh, can I post just the clip in the chat room? Or like,
you can. I can see if I can put it up. I don't know how long the clip would be.
It's not very long. I sent it to you Facebook. Do you want me to?
Actually, you can share the screen on here under present.
Okay.
And if you've got the video file, you can go directly to the video file and it'll come up on screen.
Okay. Cool. 'Cause I think this is just incredible. Like that this like is not going further. So I'm just gonna pull that up really quick. I don't mean to.
Let's see if it works.
Yeah, I'll get the thing first.
Tim, I sent to your messenger
Yes.
when you want, if you want to play a link to the video that I made for the Sheffield covered bridge.
Okay.
Okay, let's see here. I'm almost there.
Thank you. I may hold off on that, Rob, until another show so that when we're addressing that.
Yeah, yes.
But
Okay.
thank you very much.
Here, I've got it.
You choose the present button down below. It looks like a video
Okay.
screen. And then it'll come up. It'll say video file or play video. Now, if you play the video, make sure the audio button is selected so we can hear the audio.
So how does it just gonna let me share the screen? Let's see.
Oh, no, it comes to me and then I bring it up.
Oh shoot.
Well, she's got to hit present first.
You got to hit present down below.
Oh my gosh.
It's right next to the cogwheel, stop cam, mute.
I don't want to present.
There we go.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
In our possession. I know when I was working at Area 51, they referred to them as cardinals. We had Cardinal 1, 2, and 3. So obviously we had 3 extraterrestrial crafts that we got somehow. I was never briefed into that. I don't know how we got them, but probably from crash sites. I don't think that we had any exchange programs then, and maybe we did. I don't know. I've heard rumors about that, but I was never briefed into that. And remember, I didn't have access to everything. You know, I
totally get that. Yeah.
They were categorized as identification of extraterrestrial craft, i.e., C or I identified alien craft, IAC.
Yeah.
The ones that
IAC.
we knew, we would categorize it and we would refer to them by code names, such as cardinals. Cardinal. If we had anyone in our possession, I know when I was working at Area 51, they referred to them as cardinals. We had Cardinal 1, 2, and 3. So obviously we had 3 extraterrestrial craft that we got somehow. I was never briefed into that. I don't know how we got them, but probably from crash sites. I don't think that we had any exchange programs then, and maybe we did. I don't know.
I can cut it there. Sorry, but yeah,
That's okay.
I think that that changes everything. Like he's talking about IAC, and then Cardinal 1. Like, but if you do a FOIA request on UFOs, you're not going to get that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're calling them IACs. Like this is
Or
crazy.
IECs, yeah.
Yeah,
And then
or
cardinals.
IEC.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Cardinal.
They
Cardinal
fly.
1, 2, and 3. Yeah.
So
So that
if
was
there's-
just a little clip. I thought I was just like now I'm just I'm like somebody's got to file a FOIA request on these. Like
Yeah, I
we're
think we
calling
should
them
do
the
that.
wrong names. Yeah, definitely.
I think we should do that from the channel. I do believe that if they're calling them cardinals, then what does the U.S. government really know? If they're not getting the correct information.
He
you know-
claims that video. Richard Doty claims that video that of the alien. I can't remember what his name is. I have a clip of it. I think, but
Skinny Bob.
no, not Skinny. I can't remember
Like
who.
BE1, is that it?
The who?
BE1, biological entity 1.
There's one on there's like a YouTube video, and he claims that the video is. I'll look it up just so I don't give the wrong name.
It's
I get
legitimate.
sometimes. Yeah, he said it's legitimate. Which I was like, okay. See the Victor footage. So he said is absolutely real, and you can see these clips. I have the clips, so it like.
Oh, I know which
yeah.
one it is. The alien interview alien. The one where they're going down and helping him because he was having trouble breathing. They had a mirror that was showing his face. Yeah, I
Well,
remember
they
that.
did they interrogated him.
Right.
But
Yeah.
he
The
kind of
Victor
like,
footage.
yeah, yep. He said that's 100% legit. But I don't know. That's all I can tell you. Very interesting.
The problem I have with people saying that it's legit is until I see solid evidence of documentation, it's just hearsay.
Right.
Bingo.
But you know what? I always like to drop it. So, hey, we can do a little research on it. And if it's not,
Mhm.
hey, we go another
Right.
direction. But you got to go down every avenue. I found like,
Yeah.
this will take you in so many different places. But definitely.
Right. Nos, what do you think?
The changeover to the use of UAP by the United States government had two primary tactical advantages. One of them is that by creating a new term, they were able to define the limits of that term. And when they're dealing with anything that they actually do know what it is, it no longer fits the definition of UAP. So it's not required to be in any reports or in any testimony to Congress because they've limited themselves specifically to unidentified.
Can I interject 1 second and tell you why?
Yeah.
Dodie said that, okay, so they're getting the UFOs and the UAPs, which they're not even confirmed when they have the IACs and I have to look again. So he said that the reports or whatever, now I have to rethink myself. I just went blank. So
the reports aren't really being cataloged unless they're IACs or
I remember Congress does not have the security clearance to have it. He straight out said that Congress does not have the security clearance to even hear about them. So what are we doing here? So we're UFOs, that's not even how they're recorded. I mean, this is like mind blowing. Is anybody else just blown away by this? I'm like, after I was like, wow, what just happened here? But so they're going to Congress and they do not have the security clearance. So they're just learning about UFOs and UAPs.
Yeah. And that's highlighted best by the April or May of last year UFO hearing. Because when the guy came in there to give testimony on it, the thing was he ended up lying multiple times because they restricted the information he had access to, right? Because the question, had the United States ever fired on UFOs? I'm sorry, that's the Battle of Los Angeles. Yes, the United States military fired on UFOs. Have they done anything that suggested that they might pose a threat? I don't know, shutting down nuclear military or nuclear intercontinental ballistic missiles, that might represent a threat. Showing up literally at every armament station that we have around the world where they're storing nuclear ordnance and hovering around those. Yeah. How about coming over a Russian nuclear base and actually putting their ICBMs into launch sequence, remotely inputting the activation codes?
I was going to say that. Yep.
Yeah. All of this information is available to the public at large at any time, right? So the guy who's working on this research on UAPs is giving wrong information by claiming he doesn't have access to Google, right? So he openly committed perjury. This is felony. But he openly committed perjury with the testimony that he gave at that hearing, right? So the information is never going to get to the people that are responsible. And
they can't have it.
They can't have it, and rightly so. Rightly so.
When I found that out, I was like, what?
Yeah. But the legislative branch of the U.S. government is just playing the politics sports game. It's our team versus their team. And all they're focused on is enraging the public and making the public hate each other for whatever differences, instead of actually looking up at the people pulling the strings.
Right.
Right. So if you're in charge of the largest collection of intelligence agencies in the world, that collectively has more information than all other intelligence agencies combined, are you going to entrust the information about extraterrestrials to that Congress?
No, God, no.
There you go.
No, absolutely 100% not. I'm all like with, Tim is talking about like the grassroots. We're the disclosure right now. This disclosure is happening from people
Yes.
who have experienced it. I'm not going to trust anything that government throws at us. We don't need them. Like, why are we waiting for these? They're putting song and dance. The people in Congress don't have a security clearance to even hear about the real ones.
No.
I mean, this
And
is a joke.
I'll tell you, there's something else that's actually creating a legal problem for the future as the result of that. Because through the Bill of Rights, we have a right to no taxation without representation.
Mm-hmm.
And if the government, the people that we elect to office are not involved in the decisions on what that money is being spent on, that is taxation without representation. And all of the people in the United States could sue the US government for the money they've been delving out through the DOD for all this information that there is no actual accounting on.
They took the black budget black going back like when Trump was in. I couldn't believe that he did that. I was like, why is it going? So now we can't even see where the money's going.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know.
It says down here, Nicole is right. We just need the testimony of the people in the know from Esmeralda and that.
Yes, definitely. And we need to, the problem is there's so much division, and then you get people in here that I don't think they're necessarily like real experiencers. Like, I'm not saying you guys, I talk to you guys, like I know, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've gotten a few like that troll, and it's not real. And I'm thinking, gosh, why are you doing this? Like, you're polluting. Like, so it's, I think we can get to a point and we just need to stick together instead of fighting among each other. We just need to start connecting. So that's what I've been doing. I've been like, connecting with people, and hopefully we can put this puzzle together. So we're all here for.
Yeah, it's the number one lesson from the alien species that do want humanity to survive.
Yeah.
Is that the only way you're going to survive is through unity. It's coming together.
Collaboration.
Period. It's striving for collaboration over competition, and
love over hate.
Everyone gets more of everything.
Yeah, like let's move forward. I have a few ideas on it, like whatever, but there's a way like to connect everybody and figure out like back end like the government what they're looking for. Because it sounds like the ones that they have that they put through testing, like I don't necessarily trust. I mean, they got 88 people. They're trying to come out with disclosure. So I think that's why you should share this with everybody because I really think that the government is because they want to come out and come out with their own narrative.
Before we go to Rob, I wanted to say Live Light from the chat says, do you think humanity is ready for disclosure?
They already know. People are writing memes that they would rather be abducted by aliens like for a vacation. I've like seen it, so I can't remember exactly what the meme was, but
take me off this rock or something.
Get me out of here. I was like, people are ready. The thing of it is if they come out and they're like, they're real, which I already really did, then what's going to change? I mean, what's going to change? My theory on it is that we're dealing with a few different, and I think Rick Doty said there were 6 different ones. Okay. So you have both sides, just like human, just because they're, it doesn't mean that they're good. So there's good ones and there's bad ones. And so, anyway, I think that they control that there's I don't know if you want to call them the reptilians, you want to call them the lizard people, but I think that they're infiltrated in our government. And I think that you have literally complicit people. You have people who like HET, that's what we call them, humanoid extraterrestrials. And they look like you and I. And they're in everywhere. They've infiltrated everything. So it's like we're having a battle here. And there's rules. Like there's rules to this game. Because there's definitely a galactic like oversight. There's definitely rules, but I think that they're really making an environment and I think they're making Earth a hub. But I think we're making an environment that's more conducive to them. Because I don't think that for whatever reason, I don't know, I just go back to my experience in contamination. And then I've heard of people like a bubble, going around them. So I just wondering if there's something in our environment that they can't tolerate.
You guys, good question. Okay. I'm having trouble with my mouse. It's stuck on scroll. And I can't get it to go off. Do you have any suggestions?
Throw it against the wall.
Yeah, I thought about that.
Hit it. I just smashed it. Yeah.
I can't take the comment down. No matter what I do.
Try just what is it connected? Wirelessly or wired?
Wired.
Just unplug it. Wait a second and plug it back in. See what happens.
Yep. The first rule of IT.
I can't even reach it. It's behind the computer screen.
Have you turned it off and on again?
Can you pull it out? Then you can just use your computer.
No, I can't drop out of the studio either. Stop the stream, so forget that. For some reason it won't work. I don't know why it won't work.
If you click over to another tab, it may pull it out of that mode. I've occasionally had my mouse do that on YouTube.
Yeah, let's see if I can do that. Thank you.
Yep.
That did work.
Okay, I was trying to put my hand.
See, I needed a little bit of help there. See, collaboration. That's
right.
Guys.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
You helped me share the screen. I always, for some reason, I struggle with that part. But yeah, thank you.
No, you didn't break it, Live Light. I just had to make sure I got your question out there. Do I have a backup? Well, this is my brand new laser mouse. Even though it's wired, it's still laser. So I don't know. Anyway, it's okay. Getting back to the subject matter at hand. Rob, I want to come to you because I kind of left you down in the corner and we need you to jump in. So go ahead, bro.
To be honest with you, you guys covered everything. I mean, everything that you guys talked about, I mean, it makes perfect sense, and I couldn't add anything to it. I mean, I agree with Nos. The people keep sending me texts. All right, stop this.
Cool whistle, though.
This is Negan whistle from Walking Dead.
Okay, I do have something I want to bring up. I was talking to Nos about this maybe a week or two ago, maybe even recently, about the wavelengths of light that are visible to the human eye and what we can and cannot see. And I think that the wavelengths that we can see limit us to what is actually in the sky. And there could be multiple ships all around us, and we just can't see them, broad daylight or at night. And here's the explanation I got. Visible and invisible light. Humans can only detect wavelengths from 380 to 700 nanometers. It's called the visible spectrum. Outside of this spectrum is infrared light, such as X-rays, and ultraviolet light, such as radio waves. ETs allegedly cloak themselves, their craft, and their bases by enveloping themselves in visual wavelengths that humans and their technology cannot see or detect. They can also cloak by creating visual illusions that allow them to blend into the environment. I do know that the U.S. military has some basic cloaking technology that allows them to blend into the environment. So, and some high-tech fighter jets that actually use the projection system to project the clouds behind on top of them to below.
I've seen that. Yeah, cameras on the bottom, and then whatever they see, it reflects on the opposite side.
Right. So I wanted to bring that up. That when you're looking outside, there may be ships all around you, but you just can't see them or hear them. So wrap your head around that. And,
I think if you look into the paranormal, though, you could connect it to the paranormal because the spectrum. like I grew up seeing spirits and they don't look like, I mean, you put your arm through them. They're not like, so it's like there must be a cross into, realities. Like they say energy can't create it, it can't destroy it. So I don't know.
Right, exactly. A lot of I was going to bring that up here. I was thinking about that theory actually, Nicole, but I was applying it to alien abductions and how they transfer people through walls. And in regards to the paranormal, you see, if you're lucky enough to see, you see a shadow figure, or you see a full apparition or a partial apparition move through a wall.
Yeah, sometimes they'll look and they'll show you how they died, or they'll show you like, whatever. They just, it's just like a heavy fog is what I would say. And you can tell, you can see who they are. Like it didn't start out like that. I started off seeing auras around people. And then like when I was like 5 or 6. And so I like used to spook my parents out. But my great aunt in Ireland saved my family from the potato famine because she had the same thing. So it runs in the family.
Okay, what I wanted to show you is this, that sometimes during alien abduction reports, people have reported an energy field around their body when they're elevated. So this is a picture of that, an energy field around a human body that's being elevated. Now, if that body is to move through a mirror on the dresser, as this picture portrays, or through a wall, or through a ceiling, are they using transmedium technology? I almost think they might be, because if you think about it, if you use an energy field to speed up atoms, what does it do? It throws the atoms outward, which creates space, which means that someone could actually move through that space with a technology. Now, what I've also know is a lot of people report a slight tug when they go through the wall, or a slight tug when they go through the ceiling. So maybe some of the friction of those atoms that are being spread out are grabbing onto the being as they move through the wall. Now, one thing I want to say is transmedium technology has only been spoken about with UFOs when they enter the ocean, where they don't leave a splash. Well, if they can do that, who says they can't move through dimensional rifts or dimensional doorways or portals, or just right through a wall or through a ceiling? So I've had this theory for a while, and I think that's what they're doing.
Yep.
Oh, I just was going to say that, like, when I really got into it, like, I started looking at this house, right? And it was brick. And, like, this is when, like, I was seeing UFOs, like, all the time. It was, like, running out. It was, like, heavy time period. So it started to, like, almost like dismantle, and I took a picture, and it was like a really weird grid that showed up, like a red. My camera, I have a Nikon P1000, and it showed. I mean, like, it's really crazy. I have a picture of it, but I just, I wonder. When I had one of my experiences, I was looking at the clocks, and it said 4:40, and then there's 3 of them. And then all of a sudden, boom, it went to 5:40. And I was like, or 5:20 or something like that. I'm like, what the heck is that? But I remember a space, like an empty space, transitioning back. Like I was conscious enough at that point to know that I was there was a void, and that I was, coming back to that. So I don't know. I don't know. That's just an experience that I had. I'm not sure what it means exactly. But I've heard before about, the bubbles around people. So I don't know. I'm wondering if it's not like contamination or something.
It actually makes sense. If you put a protection bubble around someone, it can keep their physical body intact, while whatever is being used to move them through walls or ceilings is on the outside of the bubble. And that's what moves them through. And it doesn't harm the person they're moving. Just my opinion.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think the Matrix, I think that they have a way of manipulating it for sure. Definitely.
What do you think, Nos?
I think the first time that the United States government experimented around with that is known as the Philadelphia experiment.
Right.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. which taught them they were not ready.
Yeah, especially with people halfway in and out of the hall and everything like that.
Yeah,
Kids and
the
everything.
people that got fused, and I understand why it happened, but the phasing technology is the third elevated form of relativity fields. First being gravitational fields, second being space folding, or what people would call warp fields.
Right.
Gravity fields are the easiest relativity fields to create. The warp fields come next. But the third one, that's the phantom drive. It's the phantom drive field. It creates a bubble in which the physics of the outside world do not relate to that which is inside of it. So when anything that's a part of this field, it's attuned to it. It's ready for phase shifting. And when this field passes over anything in the physical world, then the rotation of the cells that are in there means that they are out of alignment. It's the same thing as polarized vision, right? Whether the lines get blocked or the lines go through. And it's just that you get the alignment of matter to one angle for the physical world, and you got the alignment of matter at another angle for the outside, and you just pass through, just like muons, quarks, neutrinos. That's it.
So was I hitting close to home, or?
Yeah, it's the transmedium technology. So you can create a phantom drive relativity bubble around a person and just float them right out the wall. Pull them up into the sky.
And pull them right up into the craft without even opening it up.
With a shaped directional gravitational field.
That makes sense. Yeah.
How do we make the glasses, the full spectrum glasses?
Oh, well, the human eye themselves can't see polarized light. They can't see the infrared spectrum. They can't see the ultraviolet spectrum. The eyes are going through a mutation process right now. So a couple of thousand years ago, humans couldn't see blue. It was just red rods and green rods in the eyes. And you find this actually when you look back into the literature from ancient times. The color of blue wasn't mentioned until relatively recently in human history, because they didn't have that capacity. They didn't have the cone for it. And now they've discovered that there is a fourth cone that people have. They don't know what it's for. They suspect it's in the green-yellow spectrum to refine that vision. But human eyes are continuing to evolve towards a wider capacity for perception.
But what we're wondering about is, can they create a pair of sunglasses that we can use to see those wavelengths?
You can use technology for it. There are polarized sunglasses that you'll see.
We want the full spectrum, like the full spectrum goggles. Because I'm not, like, if you look at that show, I don't think it's that far off. Like, obey, like, do it. I've seen I've been watching like the signs. Like, there's so many subliminal things that are going that we don't even realize. So I think if anybody has any ideas for like full spectrum goggles, let us know.
I do actually have an idea for full spectrum, full color spectrum, including infrared camera. And that would be this one, the Cyanix Aurora Sport. This is the one I used to film the UFO that flew over our building.
Oh, wow.
Stupid mouse. Okay, here's the second one. And then that's a cheaper version. If you were to get this camera, it's $400. This one is the Cyanix Aurora Pro. This one has a GPS unit, so when you film, you can track your objects in GPS.
Oh,
but these cameras are a really good option if you're looking for full spectrum, full color spectrum infrared camera. And I recommend that. Also, I wanted to go ahead.
I have the Nikon P1000. Do you know anything about this camera? If that
yes, yeah. What is your zoom lens on it?
Oh, you know what, the battery's dead. It goes way out. I don't know. I
Well-
wanted. It goes out pretty far. Like the moon, like I've gotten, like you get right up there and see craters. So
That's cool.
Isn't that like amazing? My camera can see like miles, like how many miles away to the moon?
One thing I
Wow.
want to point out, a lot of people here have seen my UFO video that I filmed with sightings on 18 wheels over our building that changed shape 5 times and projected an infrared light beam down onto some pine trees 3 separate times. And then we sightings went back in the footage, and he found that the UFO circled around and came back, flashed light on the trees again, but we couldn't see the craft. Either we weren't pointing the camera up high enough or it was cloaked. But I want to show you the prime area in the Northern Hemisphere that we've been using to film unidentified objects. Okay, you find the Big Dipper in the sky on a clear night. And the prime target area for filming UFO activity is between 9:30 p.m. and 10 o'clock p.m. Central Daylight Time. So adjust your time by Central Daylight Time. But it's the first star of the cup or the first star of the bottom of the cup. And if you look in this general vicinity, you're going to see things. That's where I actually filmed the object. The object started at the first light up above of the handle, and it went down to the third light, and then it went up to the top light of the cup. So that is a really good area to film. So if you're going to go out with one of these Psionics cameras, film toward the Big Dipper at around 9:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time.
I found a lot by Orion's Belt too. Like there's
Orion's Belt sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
I see things around Orion's Belt earlier, like between 7 and 9.
Yeah.
And you have to watch out for satellites, because satellites, though, they'll move in a straight line, and you got to know which direction they're moving and at what time. And usually you can use an app to adjust what you're seeing in the sky. So in regards to satellites, you can discount them. But most of the time what I see, and I saw one right before the show tonight, it was a white light that pulsed twice, and then it flew off and was gone. You couldn't see it anymore.
I saw one right before too. It was like a white, it was like through, and I'm like, you're trying to like please come, thank you, or like the whole mind thing to bring them down. That's awesome.
If you look, you can see them, but you got to know what you're looking at, and you will learn over time. And I recommend looking at the Big Dipper. It's up to you. But Nos, I want to ask you about something. Okay, I want to ask you about. Let's go back a little bit to what someone asked earlier. Are the reptilians among us?
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely are, which is the reason that we're in the predicament we're in now.
All right. Do you think they're controlling our government?
They're controlling people that control the government.
They're infiltrated in our government. If you look at what's his name, he said like they're walking up and down the halls. Like it's crazy. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Also the halls of the Pentagon.
Yeah.
But remember, the people that are making those decisions weren't elected. Right. And the only proper government is the elected government. So all the people outside of them that they're interacting with are people that are influencing the direction of things.
They're part of the deep
where all the
state.
defense spending is going. Yeah, I'm going to say it. The military-industrial complex sucks ass.
Yeah, it's also the deep state.
And it's so compartment. Like they start off with, it's like a big room, and then you have to go to a, that's the way I think of it, in a smaller room, and you get to know more. And it's, it's like you keep going. But
You know what
it's
bothers me? I've
illegal.
actually heard the president has the ability to sign an order where everything about UFOs and the UFO phenomenon's narrative can be just
Stephen Bassett talks
declassified,
about it.
can be
Yeah.
declassified in one signature.
He can issue the order. It's not going to happen.
Right.
You don't have enough. President, from what I understood, was don't have enough clearance. There's people above the
Yeah.
president of the United States.
Oh,
The
definitely.
president,
He's
if I'm
not even
mistaken, I
there.
think no, I think there's like 32 different levels of clearance.
Wow.
And the president of the United States is, I think, level 21, 20 or 21, something like that.
Yeah, he's not high
Like
enough.
32, there's 32 levels. So there's like a dozen people above the president of the United States. And
I hear you have to have cosmic clearance to be able to get fully briefed. I don't know if that's the case.
No, it's a common misnomer that got out in the ufology community a long time back. Cosmic isn't actually a clearance level. It's a set of protocols for handling certain ultra sensitive documents.
Okay.
So it's when a document has to be transferred from one place to another, and there is no way you can let anyone see it outside of that. They go through cosmic transfer protocols.
Gotcha.
Now,
So
Stephen,
what is the highest clearance level, Nos?
32, I thought.
Yeah, the thing is that once you get beyond the regular ones and secret and top secret, then the clearance levels that happen after that are not just a continuing down to authority over all information. They're specialized. So they have the authority for information on particular subject matter.
Compartmentalized. Gotcha.
Yeah, like people in the CIA, the analysts and things like that, they need special clearance for dealing with, espionage information that comes out of Afghanistan, right? That sort of thing. Having a higher clearance level doesn't mean that they can then go into all the other government systems for stuff not related to them.
Live Light says, who has the highest clearance?
Elon Musk, probably. I don't know.
Right.
Stephen Bassett
Hey,
talked
alien
about
intelligence or something like
the
that,
truth
isn't it?
embargo, stopping the truth embargo,
Yeah.
and that would allow a disclosure to happen.
That's what I'm here to do.
Break the truth embargo. But I remember saying that. So I don't know what the truth embargo exactly holds, but I think they can break that, and then they would be able to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All it takes is leverage.
What do you think, Rob?
I think that I have no idea. I mean, it's just, I think there's an alien intelligence that has the highest level of clearance. So basically, whatever alien hybrid, alien, whatever, alien ambassador is designated to be on this planet, I think they have the highest level of clearance. So basically, if something that, say, if we wanted to come out with like the truth about UFOs or about aliens or about this planet, light speed or whatever like that, I think whatever alien is there, we have to get his approval first. So I believe it's not even in human control anymore. I believe it's whatever civilization is beyond our solar system that has control of everything.
I tend to agree with you on that. But who deems what alien race is in control? I know that Nos has an opinion on that, but before we do that,
I forget what the heck it's called.
the Galactic Federation of Worlds.
It's something like that. I forget what the heck it is. It's like the Federation of Species or something like that. And it's like our Congress or our government or something like that. Except it's with this civilization, this species, that species. They all get together and decide, like we do in like Supreme Court. Okay, you do this, you do that, you do that. I think it's just a group of gathered civilizations that made it to super high intelligence that decide what goes where and what goes this way and what happens.
And maybe they're hoping that we'll rise to the occasion and actually ascend to a higher level of intelligence so that we can join the people out there in the galaxy.
I believe that's what their goal is. I mean, there's other
AI.
Right, AI. I forget what show I was watching, but the last I heard is there's like a solar system on the outside of ours, like a distant solar system that is totally artificial intelligence based, that is slowly moving towards us, and that's why, as we go, AI is overtaking us. Is basically what it is.
Yep.
I don't think AI has a deciding force on what we do on this planet. I believe that the higher civilizations wouldn't allow that. I believe they want full control, and they have the betterment of what's going on out there. They're not trying to do us harm. They're trying to make us better and raise us to a level of intelligence where we can actually go out there and say, hey, we're here. Let's talk business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do believe that. Yeah, Nicole.
Yeah, when I followed the Hetlau, like I really learned the whole language or whatever. The idea is that it's called forced disclosure. So if we beat them and force them into disclosure before they're ready, then we have a shot of taking over that narrative. There's how many people behind us, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And there's why can't we all connect? And I mean, there's got to be a way. And then you'll get that energy, even when you're around an experiencer, there's a different energy. I can usually tell, right away. I'm like, huh, and I'm I trust experiencers. And then and if you're not, then I'm a little apprehensive, about,
Right.
Admittedly, but there's just a different perspective then.
I have to say, David Martin from the chat just said, but will they let us do this?
I think they will. I think that's what their end goal is. I really do.
Yeah.
We're going to have to get hold of that algorithm. We're going to have to share, because the views are down, and they're down across the board everywhere. So I think the government is doing this so they can come out. And Richard Doty even said they have 88 people that they're going to come out. We got to beat them to this.
Right.
We're smarter, I think.
I think what we have to do, as far as a self-progression, we have to actually make it to a type 1 civilization before they will consider letting us communicate and have more knowledge of what's going on out there. As far as I know right now, I think we're at a 0.8 civilization, and a 0.1 civilization equals to control over the whole planet. Control of earthquakes, this, that, and the other thing. Say if we see an earthquake coming, or we know an earthquake's coming, we can do something to stop it and stop the total annihilation or destruction of an area or a continent. Until we can do that, I don't think we're going to be going anywhere out there and talking to whoever.
I also believe we need to overcome our barbarism, our hate toward one another, fighting over petty squabbles such as religion and territory and things like that. We need to come together and unite.
I agree with what you're saying, but my personal opinion is that until we find something else out there to focus our attention on, we're always going to be focusing our attention on our disabilities, our differences, our colored hair, the color of our skin. We need something. It sucks to say this, but as a human race, we need something else to point the finger at. And until we find something else to point the finger at, we're always going to say, hey, Tim, I don't like your hat. Get rid of it. Or Nas, I don't like the color of your hair. Change
or you're too pale.
We're not change until
don't leave me out.
I hate the color of your hair.
Nicole, your mic's too loud. There you go.
Yeah. And I think something from out there has to come down here. And I think when something from out there comes down here, I think it's going to be a world of change. We're going to realize we're not the only thing in the universe.
That's the plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's coming.
But I mean, with what's out there, whatever's out there, they also have to protect themselves and protect their interests. If they want to come down one day and we're not ready for it, what's going to say, if they don't land out in the middle of a field with 100% good intentions to say, hey, we can cure cancer, whatever. And all it's going to take is one stupid idiot off in the background with a rifle.
Yep. Like the day
that don't even need to make contact
still.
with them. Right. It don't even need to make contact with them, but it basically shows whatever species comes down there on goodwill, we're not ready for it because they can't even step off their goodwill ship or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Yeah. They need a backdoor way of getting the information to humanity.
And I think that's what they're doing. They found it too.
Yeah.
Right. That's what they're doing.
First, you gotta profile who these, and that's where like the Hetlaw like kind of came in. We found some things to like kind of profile who these people might be, but they're never gonna admit to you who they are. Like it's crazy. If you ever seen the movie Hunters, and
I haven't. No. I agree with Esmeralda there, though, on the bottom of the screen.
Which is I missed it.
Tim has to put it back.
Oh, she's got some good comments.
Yeah, that was a good comment. I agree with her though.
What did she say? I have to go back.
Who?
Esmeralda.
Yeah, Esmeralda.
If we truly sit, I think we as a species would learn we are more alike than we are different.
Right. So basically, she's saying they have to sit down with us and actually have a civilized conversation.
And those of us who can hear them or see them or experience them, like that's where I think that we will come into play. We have to. They're communicating. So yeah, I don't know.
David Martin says, do some of the ET see Earth as a threat to them?
I don't think so. Not at all.
I think they think they're making it a hub is what I think.
I agree. I think it's like EV vehicles and cars. Like you can only go so far. I think like whatever spacecraft does like a jump from solar system to galaxy, I think the Earth is a hub, a stopping point to recharge their batteries. I mean, think about it. Our oceans are made of salt, and salt and certain chemicals and everything like that. What do you get? You get an electrical charge. So I think it's like you said, it's a hub. It's a stopping point to the next jump, the solar system, or wherever.
Although I do have to bring up, Tom used to say that our planet was an arc. In the sense of we have an arc because we have millions of species here on Earth, and after several different almost total annihilations of the planet, we still have several million species. Where did they come from? Some of them had to come from off-world.
Like people are saying, like the octopus is not actually part of our aquatic civilization from somewhere else.
Yeah, they're saying that's an off-world creature. Yep.
Yeah, that makes a good point. Like if a civilization close by dies or is threatened to be blown up by another species, an exploding sun or whatever like that, and they need a place to take what's there and put it over here until they can find another spot to put it back where it belongs. Us included. We're not. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right. I'm sorry. I do have a question that's off subject. What is everyone's opinion on the possible false flag operation of an alien invasion?
I think we'll know the difference.
I think so too.
I don't think everybody's going to know the difference, but there's a certain feeling you get when you encounter a craft. Like I call it like the lock-in. You know what I mean? It's not just you see something, you connect with it.
Right.
Oh yeah, same here.
The creep factor, you're going to be able to tell. Exactly. It's not going to be like Independence Day where they come and circle the whole planet and everybody's like, yay, let's hold on. Welcome you.
Well, we know what they look like and how different they are. Like, you know what I mean? Coming in, I've had some shift shape or shape shifters. It's like unbelievable.
Seeing
the
that
summer
movie,
light balls, it's crazy.
Well,
seeing
I'd
that
caution,
movie. Go ahead.
if you can for 1 second.
Well-
I would caution pulling back for a moment on perspective, because you guys are experiencers. And as experiencers, there's a certain legitimate feeling in what happens within you and your consciousness at that moment that you're part of the experience.
Yeah.
Non-experiencers make up the mass majority of the population. And if they see a ship that
They're
is a
gonna freak out.
human-made ship, well, for the last 6 years, the United States government has been making sure to release footage specifically of vessels shaped like Tic Tacs and talking about them over and over to get into the public's mind the concept that the Tic Tac is an alien vessel. It's a man-made vessel.
Yeah,
So that they
yeah.
can use those to stage the false attack.
Yeah.
And all the people have now been trained to say Tic Tac is alien, so they're just going to assume. They don't know that special feeling is supposed to be there. They're going to buy
Right.
the story that they've been programmed with for the last 6 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I
Get
do
off
have a
mute.
comment.
Yes, I have to say, I applaud you on that. You exactly.
Yeah.
I have a
Understanding
comment.
that plan is part of my job.
I have a comment from Wally's World 420 who says, have they already had a sit down and had a conversation with our leaders? And it's best if the majority did not know.
I agree. I think they
The
have.
majority needs to know. Like, it's time to rip the Band-Aid off here. Like, if something's going on, I'd be the one, like, everybody look, like, there's nothing. I mean, they've been reported but UFOs, and that apparently they don't exist, or UAPs, and throwing us off the wrong trail here. I think that, we could take some information and start cutting corners. That's what I try to do anyway. So I think if we can force them into disclosure, we get enough people that are behind us, and it can grow. I mean, we can figure out a way to do this and
I
connect.
already
And
have the
then
blueprint.
boom. Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, well, hey.
Yeah, she wrote a book.
For exactly that purpose, through a grassroots movement, people that are able to process the data that proves the existence of the people that are responsible for the truth disclosure, exposes them for crimes they've committed. So now you have leverage on them to get them to turn on their comrades and expose the full global network worldwide.
Right.
And putting that
Exposure, forced
information in,
disclosure. Yes.
it's forced disclosure. Yeah. And like Rob was saying earlier, humans aren't going to come together until you give them a common enemy. That was the number one lesson from Independence Day.
Yes.
Right.
You have
And
to
that's
give
why I
them a
was
common
talking
enemy.
about
United the whole
false
world.
flag.
Yeah. And that's why we're talking about the shadow government, because the shadow government are people who have been exposed to alien encounters that were designed to provoke decisions. And they're carrying out the actions that are destroying humanity.
Right.
And this is something that has not been mentioned at all in the Senate or Congress for the United States, is that in the last 50 years, 70% of all animal life on the planet has been extinguished. 70%. The ecosystem is on the verge of total collapse. Humanity is not going to make it. It's not carbon in the atmosphere. It's human activity. Okay. And once you start breaking down that food web any further, the entire ecosystem collapses. Humanity cannot survive. And that's only one of the 6 immediate threats to humanity's extinction.
So do
We
you
need to
think
get
that's
half
a
the people
threat?
off this planet is what we need to do. We need to go somewhere else.
Yeah. It's that people are going to have to learn that the way things are governed over is not efficient, because I can tell you that the Celestial Alliance has a term for presidents, senators, and congressmen. Temp workers. They are.
Right.
They go through
Right.
a popularity contest.
Talking
that's
heads.
the prom king from high school. In order to win an office through popularity, that makes a good ruler, sure.
No, they're horrible.
and-
All out. Yeah.
And if they don't win their next popularity contest, they go home.
Right.
This is not leadership.
Right.
So when you talk about have the aliens talk to your leaders, you have to have some first.
And people need to start saying, This is like, this is funding that our government, we paid in, the people, we the people. So we should have access to that information. Why do they have access?
Yeah.
And I think that they are a part of it. I always wondered, what's ET and what's our government? Because I started seeing different things like moving in and I didn't get that sensation. I'm like, this is our government, and you think everybody be like, why you live in Iowa? I'd be like, yeah, that's exactly it. Why me? I'm trying to figure that out. Like, I don't know. Why the fuck? I was out in a cemetery. It came to me, It's like, what do you do with that? You can't deny it. I mean, it was there. Shaking the telephone poles and the lines. It was like, it's crazy. So I can't deny that. Like, and somebody else saw it. So I'm like, yeah, it's crazy. So what do they? I don't know if they're trying to, like, especially when they come that close or when you see them, what it means. But MUFON, like they said that, from my understanding, this is kind of one of their questions too on their 3 I have surveys, but they want to know if you've been in close encounter with a craft for any amount of time. That's right there.
How close?
It doesn't specify. They just said, if the question asks if you've been in contact with a UFO for a period of time, like if you made so they think that when that happens, that an abduction happens and you just don't realize it.
Well, I can tell you this. I was 50 feet away and it was 500 feet in the air. So that's pretty close. And
this
it was
like,
mine wasn't one object. It was 6. So it was very close, very
I wouldn't say I can contact with mine at all. So, I mean, mine was like miles off. I saw it. That's basically all I did. But
what an important sighting, though, and we want to thank you for sharing it with us, Rob.
Yeah,
Rob, you have a lot to offer. You really do, and I understand, like, you're kind of just,
do.
But you do have a lot to offer, so we appreciate that.
Well, yeah, I have like some other thoughts and theories at some point I'd like to run by people. Like, like just one I'd like to run by somebody, like the asteroid belt. That was actually another planet to begin with.
Wow.
Like billions. That's my thought, and it's just that's where all this stuff started. Like that's where we were actually Martians. We migrated to Earth because there was a war or something like that, and we blew away another planet. Because I think I saw on the Travel Channel or Ancient Aliens or something like that. They did a soil sample of Mars, and on one side of the planet, and then on another side of the planet, they said there was like nuclear radiation fallout from like a nuclear blast, and they said it was the mechanism that blew up in the atmosphere was so big it was like bigger than the Chrysler Building on each side of our planet. Or not our planet, on planet Mars.
To change the temperature is what I heard, to make it warmer.
I don't know. I don't personally believe that. I believe whatever planet was there in the asteroid belt, I believe that's it was like we did something that pissed these guys off here, and back and forth, and we just went at each other like that, and we annihilated each other in like the very, very, very distant past.
No, what do you think?
Some of my theories that I go through constantly.
On the asteroid belt is an important part of one of the apocalypses that has to be prevented. But it's for creating a new moon. So Earth's moon that it has right now is not the original one. It's a replacement, which is why it behaves the way it does.
Yeah,
it was that the asteroid belt that's just past Mars was harvested from about 2/3 of the way through it because of the density of meteors that are needed for it. But they used a gravity engine to create a gravitational field that would pull them in, and they swept across it, and then they created an inverse gravitational field on the outside of it that pushed down and pushed down and pushed down. And it's the act of that compression along the outside surface that caused all of those asteroids to melt, while on the inside, asteroids were breaking into smaller pieces. And all the rock on the outside was under the most friction, the most pressure. And
Where you get like the bell or the dome.
Yeah.
Right.
So once they take the gravitational field off, the moon has a solid shell around the outside. So when you hit it with something, it rings like a bell. It's also the reason it's made of materials that are older than the Earth itself.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, but the Earth is in a problem right now because of lunar drift. So every year there's a couple of centimeters that the moon moves further away from the Earth. Okay. Well, this has been going on for a very long time, around about 500 or 400 million years since this moon was put into place. And the geological record will actually hold up for that, by the way. But when the moon was put into place, it was what was necessary for all the stronger gravitational forces from the moon causing tectonic shifts and breaks, those kind of things. But the primary issue that you're looking at is that the gravitational forces of the moon exerted upon the Earth cause the tidal forces of bulges and swells. Okay. And this is with all the matter that the Earth is produced of, but it affects the water most greatly. But this gravitational force of the moon pulling on the Earth isn't just what's on the surface. Those gravitational fields are agitating Earth's molten core and latching onto Earth's solid core at the center to keep it spinning. Well, if you've been paying attention to what's been going on in physics news, the Earth's solid core is slowing down. It's coming.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
So you
That's
over
why
the last
Pole
400
switch.
years,
The poles are switching.
yeah, over the last 400 million years, the moon has just drifted a little bit more every single year. And it's just past the point where its gravitational force can emit enough pull to keep Earth's core spinning. But the problem is much worse than that, because if you pay attention to seismology, then you found out that over the last couple of years, they're having deep mantle earthquakes. There are earthquakes that are occurring deeper than they thought the Earth's mantle was at the location where the earthquake occurred. This is because with the reduced friction from the moon moving further away, then all the rocks that make up the molten core of Earth are not under as much friction. You remove the friction, the rocks cool down. The cooling rocks cake onto the underside of the Earth's crust, and now you have more pressure against the bottom of the Earth's crust because the crust is bigger. And that's what's causing these deep mantle earthquakes. It all goes back to the moon. And humans are going to have to be able to reposition the moon to prevent what comes next, because it's not pretty.
How would we
Yeah.
do that?
Is it like atmospheric displacement?
Relativity
Atmosphere
fields.
goes out into the
Relativity fields.
yeah. There.
Well, how would we move the moon?
I show them
Relativity
how.
fields.
It's a process of
the
the relativity fields that need to be created. Is that if you create a relativity field around the moon, the influence of its mass on propulsion is gone.
It's just like a
Like
bubble.
moving a feather. It has no mass.
So how do you project it? Like a laser, or
It's controlled projected fields. But before they can make the projected fields, they have to be able to make the general radiant fields, like magnetism has, like gravity has, right? They need to be able to create the radiant fields before they can learn to shape them. But once they understand that you have the ability to shape them, then you can control the amount of power that goes behind it to determine that funnel that goes out and how large the sphere is that it embraces. And when you do that, the moon has no mass, and then you're just creating a gravity well to draw it back into the point of rotation in the Earth, where it's providing the impetus necessary to keep the molten core molten before things get really bad. The next part of the problem is that as the core cools down, it cools down. Thermodynamics, things are bigger when they're hot and they get smaller when they get cold, which means Earth's liquid core is going to contract away from the crust if it gets too cold. And the earthquakes are beyond anything you can imagine.
Henceforth, all the signal
on the planet that can survive that.
worldwide.
Henceforth,
The
all
sinkholes.
the northern lights that people are seeing too.
Mhm.
That
Do
has a
you
lot
think
to
our
do with the
government's
rotation.
involved?
They probably have maybe one or two people that have figured out the connection between deep mantle earthquakes and
The core.
the core.
But what do you think the ultimate, like, I really think they're creating an environment that's more conducive to them, like the reptilians or the ones they're negative, you know what I mean?
Right.
The ones you see on the whatever, and all this cloning stuff, like, and then AI wants to come for your souls. I mean, this is getting a little bit out of hand here. You know, we got to stop and ask ourselves, like, we were warned about all of this. And as soon as I literally put on these the goggles, you know, like my son has whatever those things are. And there was like my aunt and uncle, they were able to walk down our street, and they're from California, all over the place, Wisconsin, everywhere. But Dubuque's a smart city. So they it's like they're turning us into an AI. Like they could walk past our house through goggles, you know, isn't that crazy? Like, I don't know. Yeah, so it's going places, but I don't know. Like I think that we're at a point where it's going to be really hard to decipher what is and what isn't. Like, and I think our government knows that.
Yeah, which is why the rules have to change.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The rules
100%.
have to change. People need to change.
Yes.
People need to start speaking up. It's like enough of the quiet, like speak out. Like, you know what I mean? I have always like calling, because they don't have the authority, but we can move this forward. I think every single one of you. Yeah.
The people.
We the people. I'm not just saying we
people.
like right here. I'm saying that we are so much bigger together. And if we could just pull one friend, grab another friend to bring them in, you know what I mean? Like just start to and then I think we can move this and we can block this, because then they're not going to be under the control of, you know, the government's narrative. Like I'm
what
sure
I'm saying about we the people is we need to come together as family,
right?
Not as enemies.
Yep.
That's
absolutely.
What we need to do. Anyways, I want to go around the panel and get everybody's last comment. Nos?
If I didn't believe humanity was capable, I wouldn't be doing the work.
Thank you, Nos. We appreciate your efforts, and we will continue to dig deeper into your thoughts and your writings, because she does have a book out. It's on PDF form right now.
It's on Kindle too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll ask you, Nos, to drop your links for those in my DM. Okay, with you, and
absolutely.
then or on Discord.
And those can be shared out, because we do have the link for where the PDF is housed by someone that understands the mission and what's happening.
Okay, yeah, then we can drop them out there for people to read and try to absorb what you're talking about more in depth. Okay, Rob, any last thoughts?
My last thoughts is people are always talking about like Earth and annihilation and everything like that. I don't think that the alien civilizations out there are going to let us destroy ourselves. I think that they're trying to teach us how to behave and act like a civilization that's worthy. So, you know, the moon flying away from the Earth, I think if we reach the point where it was like apocalyptic disaster, I think whatever civilization is out there watching us and treating us like their children, I think they would finally intervene and stop it from happening. But they're trying right now to teach us how to do it ourselves. So I don't think, as far as like a human populace, we have anything to worry about as far as like total destruction. I think eventually, you know, we're going to learn to do it ourselves, or if it's total destruction, they're going to help us do it alongside us.
Nicole.
My final, I think I'm just gonna be to be continued, because I think that brought forth like a lot of things, and I would love to hear outsiders' perspectives, you know, and then Tim does have chat rooms that are great to post this information and come together. You know what I mean? Like, let's unite, because there's so much power in numbers. and maybe we can, put these pieces together and move this ourselves. We don't want the government to do that. I don't believe we do. So I just wanted to say thank you to Tim, Nas, and of Rob. Like, I'm really nice to meet you guys, and thank you for having me
Same
on.
here.
Yeah, hopefully we can.
I enjoy talking to you guys. It's like a perspective that I can share with people and to get insight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we intended to do tonight. Ever since my guest canceled for personal reasons, who will be rescheduled in the future. That's Alan B. Smith, and we're going to be talking about the UFOs and the paranormal connection. So that'll be something that Nicole will be interested in, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Fun time.
We do have a comment that I want to say. Esmeralda out there, a good supporter of the channel, said, "This has been a most stimulating discussion. So many great ideas. Thank you all, Tim and wonderful panel."
Oh,
Yes,
that's so nice. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa Savoy said, "Great show." My flock said, "Great show." So we're doing great. So thank you guys very much. We're going to have you all back again as a group and make certain that we can talk some more like this. We should do this more often, where we actually don't need a guest, but we just have a roundtable discussion. I think it's important to get everybody's ideas out there and the narrative to go in the right direction. I want to thank Nos. I want to thank Nicole. I want to thank Rob. Thank you very much. And everybody who watched online, thank you. And everybody in the chat room for participating. We'll see you next week. Good night.
Yes.